Hey guys, it's Jessica here. Christmas is just right around the corner and I am so excited for it. How about you guys? I'm pretty sure you guys are excited as well. Despite the ongoing pandemic, Christmas is Christmas. Christmas is a special day, especially for many Filipinos. Since December marks as kind of the start of the Christmas season in Korea, I wanted to make this video where I talk to you guys about my experiences of spending Christmas in both the Philippines and Korea and the cultural differences that I felt through those experiences. Last year, I spent Christmas in Korea for the first time in around maybe 4 or 5 years. So during Christmas season, I would usually spend it in the Philippines. I honestly even forgot that I spent Christmas in Korea last year. So that shows how Christmas isn't that of a big thing here in Korea. The Philippines is one of the most predominant Catholic countries in Asia. Thus, the reason why Christmas is such a special day or season in the Philippines, because it's not only about singing Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, but it has a lot to do with the religion, the predominant religion of the country. It is the longest and the biggest holidays in the Philippines, and the most surprising thing for me was that it starts in the Burr month, so September, October, November, and December. You could actually see people decorating their houses with Christmas trees, or when you go to the malls, it's also decorated with big Christmas trees and other different Christmas decorations. To be honest, when I first went to the Philippines, it was very ironic. First of all, as a Korean, when we think of Christmas, it has to be cold. We think of snow immediately. So there's the word white Christmas. When it snows on the day of Christmas, then it's white Christmas. So the idea of warm Christmas in the Philippines is actually shocking for many Koreans. Like, they cannot associate Christmas with hot weather. So my very first Christmas experience in the Philippines kind of went by quite normally. I did not even go to different parties because I did not really know any people in there. So we had our very first official Filipino Christmas party in the next year, which was in 2010. So I talked about my Christmas in the Philippines experience and how I fell in love with it in my growing up in the Philippines as a Korean video. But to expound on it more, it was just the best party that I've ever been to in my whole life, and it still is. Everyone, all the neighbors gathered in one house, like us just playing like Christmas games. And thanks to my English teacher, Nans, for actually hosting the party, eating dinner together. By the time my mom even brought like some Korean food, like tteokbokki by the time, and introduced tteokbokki to the Filipino neighbors in our English teacher's house with different Filipino food like adobo barbecue. So we gathered in Christmas Eve and we would actually do a countdown until the day of Christmas, like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And then when a clock ticks to 12 o'clock, we're like, Merry Christmas! Just talking about it makes me so excited because it really does bring back memories of the past, the nostalgia. Anyways, back to Burr month. I initially did not like the idea of Filipinos celebrating Christmas so early. Like, it's still September. Why do I see Christmas trees? But then I felt how precious that is after I came to Korea last year, when I only got to see hints of Christmas like towards December already, which is around now, the first week of December. I see some little Christmas decorations in some cafes or restaurants, but it's not like everyone brings in Christmas trees in their homes. Yeah, like I don't have a Christmas tree in my house. So I think the gesture of just patiently waiting for Christmas, for the one and only special day of the year, that whole gesture, that whole process kind of came to me in a very beautiful picture. And I also got to learn this culture where they don't open the Christmas gifts they've received until the actual day of Christmas. This culture that I saw in American like films or movies where they keep the gifts under the Christmas tree and they open it like when it's the Christmas day. That was very new for me as well. Christmas in the Philippines is such a big holiday that a sociologist described Christmas time in the Philippines as a big homecoming, because this is usually the period when overseas Filipino workers or OFWs come back home to the country to celebrate Christmas with their families. So I think that also illustrates one significant element of the Filipino culture where people are very family oriented. And that notion itself of spending important days with your family is equivalent to the Korean culture as well. But then Christmas itself is not a big thing in Korea, so we don't necessarily gather a big family gathering on the day of Christmas. The equivalent of that in Korea would be the Lunar New Year or Chuseok. So these two, that's a time when we go to see our families and we spend time together with our families. As for the different activities being done during the season of Christmas in the Philippines is things like Simbang Gabi, which is a series of dawn masses during the 9 days leading to Christmas. I am also very familiar with this because I once did this mural project at a local barangay in the Philippines, and during the Christmas season, I was able to see people actually going to the mass very, very early in the morning. Secondly, there's Belen, which originates from Spanish colonizers, and I've seen this also numerous times in the Philippines. We also cannot forget about the paroles, the star-shaped decoration. That's so Filipino. I even made it in school. And of course, as I said, Christmas songs playing in the background. And lastly, this is a culture influenced from China, which is aguinaldo or ang pao, where inside a red envelope, your parents or ninongs or ninas give you money, like a pocket money to their godchildren. This is a very Korean thing as well, I guess because it stems from the Chinese culture. But in Korea, we don't do this during Christmas. We do this in the biggest holiday, as I mentioned, the Seollal or Chuseok. Although when you grow up, it kind of switches. The daughters or sons give their parents pocket money. And please let me know, guys, if your family practices this part of Filipino Christmas culture, because I think it's very interesting how Christmas is really the day where it shows the Filipino identity, that identity of being influenced by the Spanish culture, with the Belens and everything, and also with the Chinese culture. And I think all in all combined makes a really beautiful art piece in itself, which we call the Filipino Christmas culture. For the food part, of course, we cannot forget traditional Filipino party food like lechon. But in the very first Christmas party I had in the Philippines, we did not have lechon. So I think it depends from families to families. And the official term, they say where Filipinos celebrate Christmas Day at midnight with a big feast is Noche Buena, which is Spanish for night of goodness. Noche Buena, wow. I'm learning a lot of Spanish through Filipino culture, I feel like. In Korea, as I said, we only kind of start to feel the Christmas vibes in the first week of December. Because it's the holiday season, it's a chance for a lot of different brands to release all these holiday collection products. So it's the month of spending money and giving away gifts to your loved ones. And that part is still very similar to the Philippine culture, but then it's more commercialized in a way. More like it being a heavy religious event, it's more like holiday vibes. Let's sing that's like a famous Christmas song by IU. And Christmas 25 is a red day in Korea, so it's a holiday, it's the rest day. But if the day before or after is a weekday, then you just go to work. So in the Philippines, there's the culture where, even those people who are at work go on a full-on rest of 3 weeks. But in Korea, that's whoa, that's like a dream. That's like a dream. In fact, last year, I actually spent Christmas Eve working the whole day. Christmas Eve. My trabajo ko sa Christmas Eve. So since Korea can be regarded as a very couple-centric society, Christmas is really like a day for couples. So if you guys go on streets of, those hot places in Seoul on the Christmas day or Christmas Eve, it's hard to find a single person. So as I mentioned, for many Koreans, including me at first, Christmas in a hot country like the Philippines is very awkward. But I have to say that Christmas party in the Philippines was really one of the major events I had in my life. Of course, there's no snow in the Philippines, but hot weather Christmas is very attractive in its own. So yeah, I think you guys should go ahead and have a very merry Christmas this year. I wish you all the best. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.